Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of Andrewsfootball.com. Welcome to my Week 13 review. Now, if you haven't already, there's this button right down here. See it? Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. My channel, scientifically proven to make all your wildest dreams come true. Now, let's go ahead and get into the review. Let's start off with a great game, Monday Night Football. This was game 3 of my parlay. I went 3 for 3 on that. I've been saying for a while Seattle's going to win the West. I've been telling you this for months. Seattle's going to win the West. Now I look like, you know what? You should know this if you've been following me. I know my football. And Seattle looks like they're in great condition to go ahead and win the NFC West. Minnesota's still in great shape. They're only one game behind Green Bay, and they still get to play Green Bay, so they could still have a great opportunity to win the North. And the way the seedings are set up right now, Minnesota would have the 6th seed, so they're still in great shape for the wild card. So even though they lost the game, they can still win the North. And they're still the 6th seed, so they didn't really move up or down in the playoff standings. Sunday Night Football. Now, I got a parlay, but I predicted 4 games. This is the one I got wrong. But if you find somebody who picks 75% against the spread, all right, it's pretty damn rare, okay? This makes the AFC way more interesting and way more fun. Baltimore is now the 1 seed, and Houston is 1 game up on Tennessee, and they still play Tennessee twice. And this just makes the South way more exciting. And New England is now only 1 game up on Buffalo, and they still have to play Buffalo one more time. Not only that, New England has a tough one next week where they host Kansas City. Speaking of my Chiefs, I was at Arrowhead as they beat the Raiders by 31. I actually thought it'd be a lot closer, but I did call the under. Here's the thing. They're 3 games up on the Raiders. They swept the Raiders, so even though they're 2 games, they're 3 with 4 to go. So really this game marked the unofficial winning of the AFC West. I mean, Chiefs are up 3 games of 4 to play. So even if they lose all 4 games, which I hope they don't, but even if they lose all 4 games, they're probably still going to win the West. The Raiders, I've been saying this for a while. I thought the Raiders would finish around 8-8. They're a 500 team, but they're really building towards 2020. And people that want to talk trash on the Raiders, I'd be very careful. That's a dangerous team. That is a very dangerous team come 2020. That defensive line's in good shape. I think Carr's a good running back. Carr's a good quarterback. I like the running back. There's a lot to like about the Raiders. I could talk about their offseason and everything that happened this year. But bottom line, that's a dangerous team in 2020. But they weren't really a threat to upsert the Chiefs in 2019. So if you're a Raiders fan and you're watching this, you have a very, very, very bright future. So, I'm telling you this right now, the future is extremely bright for the Raiders. So just 2019's Chiefs year. Another team that's looking forward to 2020 is the Denver Broncos as they beat the Chargers. Drew Lock got his first start. I was at Arrowhead, so I didn't watch the game. Me and Drew Lock went to the same high school, so I call him the local kid. I've known about him since he was a high school senior, so he's a very talented kid. I didn't watch the game, obviously. I can't wait to see highlights of it, see how he looked. Denver Broncos, I think, are in really good shape for 2020. The Chargers, who lost the game, unfortunately, I was wondering if the window has already closed, and it really has. I think this is a situation where going forward into 2020, I think they're going to blow the team up in the offseason. I think this is Phillip Rivers' last year as a Charger, which is unfortunate because I think he's a excellent quarterback, extremely underrated, and he's going to be in Canton someday. There's a lot of talent on that Chargers team, but due to injuries, which you've had the issue before in the past, what else can you do from here? I really think that they're going to blow the team up in the offseason, which is a shame because that's a talented team, but nothing to show for it. Rams at Arizona. I called this game. This was the second game on my parlay. The Rams are one game behind Minnesota thanks to the Monday night game. They're one game behind Minnesota in battle for the wild card. If the playoffs were to start today, they would be on the outside looking in. I've been saying this for a long time. Since September, it's going to take 10 wins to get into the NFC playoffs, and the 10 and 16 may be on the outside looking in. Maybe even an 11 win teams on the outside looking in. But let me tell you this, if the Rams do make the playoffs, be afraid. That is a very good football team. They're not as good as they were last year, but they're still extremely dangerous. And they're only one game behind Minnesota. There's 4 more to play. So, I mean, it's still they still got a good chance. The Cardinals, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in the offseason. It's going to be a very interesting offseason. Who's going to stay? Who's not? How are they going to build their team for the future? So that team's going to be very exciting to watch in the offseason. Noon games, the big one is San Francisco at Baltimore. I called this perfectly. I said San Francisco would cover, Baltimore would win. That happened. Baltimore with New England losing on Sunday night. They are now the 1 seed. San Francisco, it's really a damn shame because they started off 10-1, 8-0, and they're going to end up being a wild card. Baltimore, despite a great win, they have an awesome game next week. This is probably the game I'm most excited about. They're traveling to Buffalo. Remember, Buffalo played Thursday, so they get a couple extra days of rest, get a couple extra days of film study, and they match up really, really good with Baltimore. A very fast front seven. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about this game. And keep in mind, with Sunday Night Football, Buffalo's only one game behind the Patriots, and they still have to play the Patriots. So this game is huge. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a great matchup. And with San Francisco, I mean, they still have a chance to win the division, get the 1 seed, but man, they go to New Orleans next week, and that's going to be a great game. So, I mean, you know, that game's not only going to be for the division, it's going to be for the 1 seed. Saints, with Carolina losing, ended up wrapping up the division. Next game is Tampa Bay at Jacksonville. Minshew Magic returns. He's going to be a starter till the end of the year. And this is a smart decision by Jacksonville. I thought the whole Foles thing was a bad move. Not getting Foles, but the contract that you gave him, you didn't need to do that. Nobody was bidding against you. But Minshew, the team responds better. The kid can make some plays. A 6th-round pick, you're paying him almost nothing. The way the Foles contract's set up is you got to keep him for 2020 unless you can trade him. I don't know how you would do that. But basically, if I'm Jacksonville, I'd build this team around Minshew. It'll be very interesting to see what they do in 2020. They could go quarterback in the draft. Remember, they got the pick from the Rams, so they got draft capital. It'll be very interesting to see what they do. But if I'm Jacksonville, I build the team around Minshew. You still have a young, talented defense, a young offensive line. Fournette, when healthy, I think is a top 5 running back. You have some talent at receivers. There's a lot to like about Jacksonville. So if I'm GM of Jacksonville, I build this team around Minshew. Foles is the backup. Get rid of him in 2020. And do what you can to build this team around Foles. Around Minshew. Tampa Bay, I've been saying this for a while. I actually like Winston. I'm in the minority here, but I think Tampa Bay should keep Winston as their franchise quarterback. He's got a ton of upside, and I think he's playing better. I like what I see in Jameis Winston, and I really like what I see with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are a dangerous team. I think going into 2020, they're a team you're going to look out for because defense looks like it's improving. Winston gets better each week. Godwin's turning into a stud. They're going to be a dangerous team in 2020. Washington at Carolina. This game, officially puts Ron Rivera on the hot seat. Carolina at 5-7, I think, are mathematically alive for the playoffs. But right now, Ron Rivera needs to do something to keep his job. When Bill Callahan first took over as the Redskins interim head coach, I said it. We can go back to the tape. He needs 4 wins. I said if he gets 4 wins, he'll have an opportunity to interview for the Redskins head coaching job in 2020. So he needs 1 more win to get the opportunity to be the coach in 2020. And if I'm Daniel Snyder, I that's exactly what I do, because the team responds. I want to listen to what he has to do. I want to listen to what Callahan's plan for 2020 is. If I'm Daniel Snyder, I walk up to him and say, hey, what would you do if you're a head coach? Listen to what he has to say, and I'd keep everything together instead of blowing it up. But you never know what the Redskins are going to do. With the Carolina Panthers, again, Riviera needs to get a win. All right? He needs to get a couple wins. He is really on the hot seat, losing 4, and this was a bad one. The first game I told you about was Cleveland at Pittsburgh. I told you Pittsburgh was going to win this game. Cleveland at 5-7, still mathematically alive for the playoffs. Now Kitchens is now on the hot seat. Nothing would surprise me what the Cleveland Browns would do, but I told people before the season started they are not going to be this 12-4 team. I had them about 8-8. And they're going to finish around 8-8. Very talented, young, inexperienced, especially at the coaching staff. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. If they keep everything together, I think they could be dangerous in 2020. If they get a new head coach, who knows what they'll do. Pittsburgh, as far as I'm concerned, if I had to vote, Mike Tomlin is NFL Coach of the Year. I think they're going to the playoffs. You're 0-3, you lose Roethlisberger, and you take this team to the playoffs. How is he not Coach of the Year? I think they do go to the playoffs. So Tomlin's my Coach of the Year. Green Bay at the Giants. I wanted to see how Green Bay would respond. They responded very well. That's a damn good football team. That's a very dangerous football team. They're still in position to get a bye, maybe the 1 seed. They're 1 game up on Minnesota, and they still have to play Minnesota, but it's in Green Bay, not Minnesota. So very interesting to see what happens in the NFC North, but I fully expect Green Bay to win that division. That's going to be a fun team to watch in the playoffs. Giants, Shermer, he's going to get the axe. It's just a question of when, unfortunately. It'll be interesting to see what the Giants do in the offseason. Philly at Miami, I didn't see this at all. But with Dallas losing, you're still 1 game behind Dallas for the NFC East, and you still get to play Dallas one more time, so you're still in position to win the East despite a really bad loss. But the thing I take from this is that Miami is looking better. I actually thought they'd be competitive like this all year round. Plus, you still ace April, where you get your first round pick, you get Pittsburgh's first round pick, and you get what's the other team? It's Pittsburgh, and I am just drawing a blank. I want to say the Rams, but that's Jacksonville. So Houston Texans. So you're still in great shape. You go ahead and you still win April, but you're playing a lot better. There's a lot to like for Miami in April, which is when the draft is. It'll be very fun for the Miami Dolphins when draft time comes around. Tennessee at Indianapolis. With Tennessee winning, they're 1 game behind Houston. They still have to play Houston twice, but their schedule's brutal, all right? At Oakland, Houston at home, Saints at home, and then at Houston. So if they do win the division, they're going to have to earn it. But Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry are playing awesome right now. That's a dangerous team. But in order to get to the playoffs, they're going to have to earn it. That AFC wildcard race is getting really, really fun right now. Indianapolis at 6-6, they're mathematically alive, but with all the injuries, I don't think they're really a factor. However, going into 2020 with Brissett locked in as your quarterback, There's a bright future for the Colts. I think the AFC North should be very afraid of the Indianapolis Colts for a long time. That is a very good football team. Losing luck at the beginning of the year, they could have tanked and gone 4-12. Nobody would have thought anything less. They were competitive, and they're still alive to get to the playoffs, and they're going to be a dangerous team going forward. It's kind of a shame because just so many injuries with Mack and T.Y. Hilton. So it's a shame. They're still mathematically alive for a wild card, though. I called this. Cincinnati gets its first win of the season. Congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals and Zach Taylor. I'm going to tell you this. Spoiler alert, or I'm sorry, what am I saying? Grinch alert. I don't think that Zach Taylor is in the clear for 2020. A 1-15 season may not be good enough. They may need another win for him to keep his job, but congratulations. It's not an easy thing to do to win in the National Football League. For the Jets, I know they're upset, and I know their fan base is upset, but you knew you were building for 2020, so don't be too upset. You knew that this was going to be a work in progress. You had a lot of things go wrong this year, so you started to look better. You lost the game that you should have won. That's 2020 is a rebuilding year for both the Bengals and the Jets. Jets fans, don't be that upset. You have your quarterback. You have a really good defense. You're missing some pieces on offense. You knew you're missing pieces on offense. This is a good draft for wide receivers. You need a few. So rebuilding year for both teams. Jets fans, don't be that angry. Bengals fans, I'm still not sure Zach Taylor is going to stick around for 2020. It'll be very interesting to see what's going on. Now, Friday is my preview show where I'm going to preview all of Week 14. Plus, I'm going to give you some picks. But if you're putting action down, hit me up at askandrewsfootball@yahoo.com. All my picks free of charge. I've been red hot the last couple of weeks to take advantage of my expertise. Saturday, 7 p.m., live stream, anything goes. So listen, if you haven't already, there's this button right down here. See it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. My channel, scientifically proven to make all your wildest dreams come true. Wait for my preview video Friday. Saturday's live stream. I'll see you Friday.